Welcome to episode 5. Today we are talking about satisfying survival mode. And I think this is important. The way that I've titled this is specific. It's not about getting out of survival mode, it's about satisfying survival mode. And we're going to dive more into this, but it's a really important distinction. And it's another one of these foundations to creating true abundance. And it really comes down to finding safety in self-trust. And once you do this, once you learn how to do this, it will totally shift you out of the energy of scarcity, not enoughness, and step you into the energy of abundance. And safety is such a key piece to this, right? In our hierarchy of needs, safety is at the bottom. It's the base of this pyramid. Safety is required in order for us to feel any other form of fulfillment. Safety is the most important piece. And, in this like modern day personal growth and development world, there's a lot of practices about finding safety, getting out of fight or flight, getting out of survival mode. And a lot of us spend our time in survival mode, and we are chasing something outside of ourselves in order to find that safety, in order to feel good. This can look like, if you are the relentless reacher mindset type. I have different money mindset types that I like to speak about. If you want to learn your money mindset type and how to work with it to find more balance and step more into abundance, you can learn your money mindset type by taking my quiz, which is in the show notes below. But if you are a relentless reacher, this could look like chasing more money and hoping that when you have more money, finally, then you will feel safe and then you will feel abundant and free and satisfied. But often I've seen time and time again that having more money doesn't create the feeling of safety, because you have to create the feeling of safety within yourself. And what this could look like if you're more of a volatile visionary mindset type is, feeling uncomfortable, feeling unsafe, feeling like weird in your life, and then spending money on things, buying things to try and satisfy you, to try and feel better about yourself. And this can lead to splurge spending. This can lead to money feeling like it's always slipping through the cracks because we're in this space of emotional spending, and to try and feel better, to try and feel good. But again, it is not getting to this root and core of safety. So, safety is so important because without safety, we cannot feel free and abundant, no matter what we're doing or where we are in the world. And with we can never have safety without abundance. So, fear and survival is what keeps us stuck, being in and living our lives in survival mode. Now, let's talk about survival mode. Where does it come from? Survival mode has been a learned way of life, and for good reason, because up until this point, as humans existing on this earth, we have needed to be afraid for our lives in order to survive. Right? We needed to be in survival mode. Like imagine like scroll back thousands, maybe even millions of years, and like living in the jungle, needing to be afraid of jaguars coming out and like attacking us, needing to really fight for our lives in order to survive, like being in that fear and needing to protect ourselves in order to live. right? Like, have you ever seen the movie The Croods? This is an animated movie. I think it's DreamWorks, but in the beginning, this is just coming to mind for me now. They like all they're cavemen and they live in a cave and they hide in a cave. And that's how they survived, was by protecting themselves and like staying really tucked in and safe and not going out at night and not like exploring beyond the cave. And everybody else died, but they lived because they were in an effective survival mode. But survival mode is just the first step of the puzzle, right? We can't truly enjoy our lives if we are constantly in this survival state. If we're in this fight or flight space, if we are living our lives in fear mode, we can never truly step into abundance and enjoyment. And we adopted survival-based beliefs in order to get to where we are today, right? In order to persevere and live. And, survival mode's important. It's valuable. It's here for a reason. If we didn't have survival mode, we wouldn't be aware of things we should be afraid of. We would just be walking off cliffs and like seeing a jaguar and just being like, this is fine, and get mauled to death, right? So fear has its place. Survival mode has its place. That's our foundational function. That's our like lizard brain's core motor function, is to make sure that no matter what, we live, we prevail, we keep on going. But when you live in a constant state of fear and panic, and you are constantly in fight or flight and constantly in survival mode, what happens is it drains you. And it becomes a waste of energy in the long term. And it keeps you on a treadmill of not enoughness, of no matter what happens around you, no matter what happens in your life, there's still this underlying fear that something bad is going to happen. And this is what happens all the time when people make more money and they expect their stress to go away. They expect their survival mode to be turned off and switched off and be like, oh, I'm safe now. I have plenty of money. No. A new fear replaces it. The fear of losing that money, of losing the safety that you have found. And this survival mode is exhausting. It prevents you from truly enjoying your life. You can be in a beautiful, magical, tropical place and yet be afraid for your life and not be able to enjoy it, not be able to experience it. You could be having like the most amazing experience and have so much that could be so much fun. And yet, if you're in survival mode in an active fear state, then you won't be able to enjoy it. So survival mode has its place. It's here for a reason, so we survive. But nowadays, in this modern day and age, we don't need it to be active all the time. And it's important that we learn how to satisfy our survival mode so that we can live in abundance, live in fulfillment, live an enjoyable life, right? It could, being in survival mode could cause us with our money to pretend like our money doesn't exist. We got to close our eyes, pretend like everything's okay, but then slowly be building this like back of the mind chronic fear and pressure of not enoughness. And that bleeds into every area of your life. It will cause you to push good things away from you, right? If you're afraid of losing things, right, and you're trying to protect yourself, you're going to push those things away from you so that you can never truly have them. If you're afraid of not having money and you're afraid of losing your money, then when you do get more money, you'll push it away from you. Same with relationships. If you're afraid of getting dumped and losing love and getting your heart broken, anytime you step into a relationship, you're going to push that away from you. You're going to end those relationships before they even really begin. And you're keeping the thing that you want perpetually outside of you, right? Your survival mode forces you to keep the things that you want perpetually outside of you. Because survival mode also causes you to only see what is wrong, to see what the problems are. And it shifts you into when, then thinking. When I have money, then I'll be happy. When I have the relationship, then I'll be happy. Then I'll feel good. And yet, there is this pattern within us, the survival mode pattern, that pushes those things away forever out of fear. This is what can cause us with our money to make emotional decisions with our money instead of grounded, rooted spending, right? We'll be spending from a place of feeling uncomfortable, feeling nervous, feeling anxious. Okay, I'm going to treat myself to a coffee so that I feel better, right? Or I really want to make this investment in myself and in my business, but that's a lot of money and it's really scary and I don't know if I'm going to pull it off and I don't know if it's going to be worth it, so I'm not going to do it. And the things like this can make us feel safe for the short term, but what is happening is it's preventing us from having true long-term safety. And instead, we're focusing on those short bursts of safety and satisfaction instead of cultivating long-term stability and abundance. And in your business, this can prevent you from growing, from expanding, from stepping into your next level of business. If you are in fear mode, and scarcity and stress, it's really hard for you to invest in yourself and make decisions for your future growth because business can be scary like that. Choosing to spend money now to grow your skills or grow the systems and processes that will bring in more money in the future. It's risky. It's intimidating. And if you are taking action and living your life from a fear and survival mode place, it's going to be very hard for you to make those investments. And then even when you do, there's still this undercurrent of doubt and wariness that prevents you from truly taking advantage of and capitalizing on those investments. This is what can cause us to give up. Or this is what can even cause us to push away the sales and the clients and the work that we are calling in because there's this underlying fear. What if someone comes in and I can't serve them? What if they give me money and they're unhappy and they're unsatisfied? Right? That's going to push sales away from you, to be in this underlying fear survival mode space. So, what do we do about this? What's the solution to satisfy survival mode so that we can step into abundance? And that solution is to stop looking for safety outside of ourselves and instead find it within ourselves and within our current situation. And all of this ties in so deeply to your relationship with money because your money is how you survive in this day and age. which is why so many of us have a fear and scarce-based relationship with money. Because we're in survival mode and money is how we survive. And we are looking for more safety outside of ourselves. More money, more clients, right? More free time, more freedom. But instead, when we find safety within ourselves, we can satisfy the needs of survival mode so that survival mode can calm down and we can step into abundance. And this isn't about like taking the fear-based parts of you and the scarce-based parts of you and like killing them off. This is something I hear a lot is like, take the inner critic and kill them. No one really says that, but that's like the undertone in the current. It's like, go, die. But all of these parts of you that are living in fear and scarcity and not enoughness and lack, they're all here to protect you. They are here in survival mode. And again, survival mode has its place. It's important that you survive, right? They're here to do a service to you. But what if we could satisfy those parts of ourselves and instead find safety so that all those parts can not die, but calm down and feel safe so that we can step into the enjoyment? So, how do we do this? How do we find safety within ourselves? And this comes down to self trust. Self trust underpins all of this. Do you trust yourself to survive? Do you trust yourself to live? Do you trust yourself to make choices and decisions about your life? And do you trust your decisions? And at the end of the day, do you have your own back? And are you willing to do whatever it takes to survive no matter what? Do you have your own back? And will you do whatever it takes to survive no matter what? And do you believe that? And do you trust that? See, when I look back on my own journey, back when I was epically downward spiraling, I had no self trust. I didn't trust myself at all because I had led myself down this path, this really dark and hard and challenging path in a relationship that didn't serve me, with somebody that I shouldn't have been in a relationship with, in an environment and in situations that I shouldn't have been in, and I felt stuck in them and trapped in them. And so, how could I trust myself when I let all these things happen to me? When I let myself be put in these unsafe situations? How could I trust myself? And so, as I began to crawl out of this dark hole, I discovered that self trust was the most important thing for me to build. Because at the end of the day, even when I was at rock bottom, all I had was myself. And I had to decide, do I trust myself enough to choose to live in this moment, to make a different choice in this moment, to survive this, to overcome this really dark night of the soul? Or am I just gonna let it all go, lay down, and die? And at that point in time, survival mode was what saved me. Survival mode and my fear of death in my darkest moment is what got me up and got me to move in a new direction. Was me finally taking back control of my life and making a new decision and a new choice for my life. Survival mode saved me. But then building self-trust was a whole nother journey because I had to learn how to trust my choices and trust my decisions so that I would make choices and that I would make decisions about my life. So I would take back control. And you see, my lack of self trust, my created indecision. Said, well, I don't really know what to do. I don't want to mess up. I don't want to do it wrong. So I'm going to choose nothing. And then choosing nothing led me down a harsh, harsh downward spiral. So I had to learn to choose again, to make choices again, and to learn to trust myself and my choices, even if they weren't perfect, even if they weren't right. To learn to have my own back no matter what, and how to get comfortable with the pain and the fear and to live through it, to survive through it. Because when we do, that is how we expand. That is how we grow. That is the path of progress. And everything that we want is on the other side of fear. Everything that we want is on the other side of fear. Because your current reality is your comfort zone. That's why you're living in it. You are used to this life that you are living. That's why you're living it. Even if you're unhappy with it, unsatisfied with it, even if you're wanting more, you're wanting to step into your next level of it, this is what you're used to. You are used to living this way. You feel safe this way. And so, in order to step into your next level of abundance, you need to push the edge of your comfort zone and keep going beyond it. And guess what happens when you push the edge of your comfort zone? Fear comes up. Survival mode is activated because you're pushing past your comfort zone. It's scary. You don't know what's out there. And that's when all the fear selves come to the surface and try to protect you and try to keep you safe and try to drag you back down to where you're comfortable, back to this current reality. And so the practice is learning in those moments to satisfy the fear, to satisfy these survival mode parts of ourselves and to find safety even in that moment of great pain and great fear. And the easiest way to find safety is to trust yourself that no matter what happens, you will always be okay. And guess what? You can trust yourself because I know I've had my own like dark night of the soul, rock bottom moment. I bet you have too. Everybody has their own story. And I know that you have survived hard things. I know that you have overcome massive challenges. And I know that you got through it and that you got out alive. Here you are listening to this podcast. You made it. You have survived every single day of your life, every single challenge, every single heartbreak, every single moment of fear, every single terrifying thing that could ever happen to you, every single painful moment. You have survived all of it. You have found your way out of it, and you found a way to keep going and to keep living through it. And not just living and not just surviving, but thriving, confidently choosing the life you want to live, becoming the person you're meant to be, and to keep going and to keep pushing, even when it was hard, even when it was challenging, even when it felt like you were going against the grain and everyone was calling you crazy for pursuing your better life, for changing your life, for doing things differently. You are still here. You are still alive. And that's a testament to you. That is evidence and proof that you can trust yourself because you've survived before and you can keep surviving over and over again. So many people that I talk to have this fear of falling back down, this fear of taking big leaps and having it not pan out. But truly, for myself, I have no fear of being knocked down ever again because the shit I went through was so challenging and so painful and went way too far. And I lived through that. I survived through that. I got myself out of that. I learned how to grow and heal and become who I am now because of that. Where even if I were to fall down and find another crazy rock bottom, I know that I could get out of it because I've gotten out of it before. And if anything, I've already done it once. And so I can do it again even better and even faster because I've done it before. And that's what self-trust really is do I trust myself to pick myself up and keep going no matter what? Do I trust myself that even if I'm knocked down, even if I'm broken, bleeding, even if I'm at rock bottom, I will find my way out of it? And I know you've done it before. So you can trust yourself that you're going to do it again. And if you remind yourself of that, if you instill that as a deep belief that you can always trust you, that you're always going to choose what's best for you, that no matter what happens, you will always be okay, then some of the fear will let go. Because that fear takes energy and effort to have that fear survival mode activated all the time, right? Especially when we're expanding. That fear can drag us down. That fear can waste a lot of time and energy. But instead, when we can satisfy survival mode quickly, then we can take all that energy and effort and mental bandwidth and put it towards the growth that we are working towards. We can put it towards the expansion so that we can keep going, so that we can step into this new reality. I have another great example of everything we want being on the other side of the fear. So I've done plant medicine ceremonies for the past 3 years. I'm coming up on my fourth year, where I do ayahuasca in the jungles of Costa Rica. And I've done it 3 years in a row. And the first year of doing ayahuasca and partaking in this plant medicine ceremony, for those of you who don't know, it's a plant medicine that's indigenous and is used very ceremonially, and it's a psychedelic. And I partook in the ayahuasca, and I'm going in my deep internal journey and experience with ayahuasca. And there were moments and times, in instances in that experience where I suddenly felt very afraid. I felt like, oh my gosh, what if someone's going to come in here and attack us and like kidnap us? Or, oh my gosh, is there someone outside? Or what if my heart is beating too fast and I'm going to just like have a heart attack and die? Right? Like there were moments in time where lots of fear would come up to the surface. And in those moments, instead of like freaking out and responding to the fear and letting the fear drive me, what I did was find safety in those moments. I would remind myself that I trusted myself, that even if something bad did happen, right? If someone came in and attacked us, like I would find a way to survive and be okay no matter what. And because I trusted myself, I also trusted myself to trust the people around me, right? That's another level of self-trust is if you have to trust yourself to trust who you trust. I know that's a little meta, but like sub tangent example, like if I don't trust myself, I don't trust who I trust. I can't trust who I place my trust in, like in relationships. I was like, I can't trust myself because I let myself date this guy who I don't trust. Okay, but as you build self-trust, you can trust your judgment of who you find safety with. So I was like, I trust myself no matter what in this environment, this plant medicine environment, and I trust the people that I'm with, and I'm confident in myself that I can trust these people that I'm with, and I know that no matter what, I'm safe. And I would find this safety, I would find my protection. And when I did, you know what happened in that moment? It was a deeper level of healing. Once I did that, and this happened multiple times in the experience, but once I did that, I had powerful emotional releases. I was sobbing on the floor, healing my deepest, most painful childhood wounds from like when I was born. But I wouldn't have been able to do that, to get that deep healing if I had let the barrier of fear stop me. And that's what the barrier of fear was doing. The barrier of fear was protecting me and was saying, whoa, whoa, don't go deeper into this. Like there's some dark shit in there and it's about to get emotional and it's gonna feel so painful and challenging that you might die. So we're not going to feel it. Instead, we're going to get stuck in this like anxiety and in the mind and like take you out of this healing experience. That way you don't have to feel it. But instead, feeling that fear, experiencing it, recognizing it, satisfying it with safety, with my own self-trust. And with that, letting the fear dissolve and shifting into the healing that needed to happen, that next level of expansion that needed to happen. Because again, in order to step into the lives we want, the bigger version of our lives, we have to expand past our comfort zones. And our comfort zones is a bubble that is protected by a barrier of fear. We have to get over the fear barrier in order to expand. And so fear is part of the process. Survival mode is part of the process. So when that survival mode activates and when that fear activates, instead of seeing it as like, oh, darn it, like, why is this here? I thought I overcame this. Actually, seeing it as a measure of how far you've grown, how far you are pushing your comfort zone, how far you are expanding. And if you can find safety in that, that's what propels you forward. Same for your business. If you're making a large business investment that you've never made before, that can be really scary. I remember the first time that I invested in a business coach. This was early on in my business, about 4 years ago. And I hired a business coach for, I believe it was around $2,600. And it felt in alignment. I felt confident about it. But at the same time, it was my first time ever making this investment. It was a lot of money, and I wasn't making money in my business at the time. And I remember having a really challenging conversation with my boyfriend. And he was really surprised about the amount of money. And he was like, you shouldn't be spending this money because he was protecting me, right? He was also keeping me safe, which is a good thing. I appreciate him for it. But then I was like also in a lot of fear. I was like, I don't know. I feel like I'm crazy for making this decision. Like, am I crazy? Is this all totally a mistake? I remember breaking down crying, didn't know if I was making the right choice, but at the same time, having this part of me that knew, no, this is the next step. I need to do this. I need to make this investment in order to move forward. And it was really, really hard for me to make that decision and step fully into this next level of investment and next level of growth in myself. But it worked out. It was okay. I didn't necessarily like make bank from that investment, but I learned some foundational things that I then built upon to make my business where it is today. Now, flash forward to that really challenging investment. or from that initial really challenging investment to last year around this time when I made the biggest investment I ever made in my business in a 30-day period. I invested in two things. I invested in a business coach and then another service for my business as well. And I decided to spend 26,000 in a 30-day period. I said, yep, I'm totally committed to this $26,000 investment. So I essentially 10x'd my investment capacity in 4 years. And guess what? Making that $26,000 investment was way easier and way more comfortable than the initial $2,600 investment because I am practiced in the art of expanding beyond the fear. And as you continue to do that over and over again, that's when you continue to build more and more self-trust. And so I could make those investments and those decisions from a place of deeper self-trust and say, yeah, I know this is a big investment. I know it's a little scary, but at the same time, I trust myself. I know I'm going to get value from this. I know it's going to be worth it. And I know that no matter what, that is true. No matter what. I will find a way to get value from this. I will find a way to be okay. And even if it did all flop, even if I just like purely lost all of this money, which I didn't, by the way, but even if I did, I know I would still be okay no matter what, because again, I trust myself to have my back no matter what. And so your relationship with money is such a powerful way to cultivate and build this self-trust. Because what it really comes down to is, do you trust yourself with your money? Do you trust yourself to make choices and decisions about this life that you are living? Like we've explored in the past couple of podcast episodes, your money is how you create your life. And one of the reasons why we keep our money passive and unconscious is because we don't fully trust ourselves to make choices with our money. We don't fully trust ourselves to live our lives consciously. And instead, we're just acting in this default, automatic, stress-based survival mode way. But instead, when you learn to find safety with your current money, if you can look at what you have and find enoughness in the amount you currently have and find safety within your current financial situation, that is when you open yourself up to abundance. Because once you find that safety with your current money, you can be in control of that money. You can trust yourself to make choices and decisions in alignment with the life you want. And if you find safety now, then you'll continue to have safety even when you bring more money in, so that more money truly feels like more. And that's what allows you to step into abundant alchemist energy, which is being able to find safety no matter what. No matter how much money you have, no matter what your current financial situation looks like. And if you find safety in your current situation, you're going to make different decisions about your life. You're going to show up to your life differently. You're going to show up to your business differently. You know what impact it has on your business to feel safe financially? It has a huge impact. Because if you're in fear mode and survival mode in your business, it's really hard to land sales. Trust me, I have been there. You know what it's like to be on a consult and then like get this underlying feeling of desperation, be like, please, oh my gosh, please buy my program. I really, really need your money or I'm gonna die. Like, listen, people don't want to buy that. People do not want to buy your desperation and your need for safety. It doesn't work. Whereas instead, when you feel safe in your current financial situation, when you have deep self-trust that everything's okay and always going to be okay, and you feel that deeply within you, and then you step on a sales call and you're like confident and detached to whether or not they buy because you don't need their money, you're not desperate for it, that is a totally different energy. And that energy leads to sales, right? And that comes back to finding safety with your current financial situation, with your current money. And you can do that now, no matter how much money you have. It comes back to transforming your relationship with money and practicing this art of satisfying survival mode and finding safety. I had a client who once told me, she got on our session and she told me, she said, Scarlett, I have $10 in my checking account right now. And I feel more abundant than ever before because I know I'm making more. I know I'm in control of this and I know I can do something about it, right? Isn't that a totally different energy to be in? That is what brings in the flow of more money versus being like, I only have $10 in my checking account. Oh my gosh, I'm freaking out. I need to quit my business and get a full-time job and da 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 da. And just acting in a panic state and perpetuating the fear to keep creating the fear over and over again and to keep living in this energy of fear instead of finding that safety and self-trust and abundance in the current amount of money. And that's what manifests more. In fact, I had a client recently. This one's really exciting. She had an unexpected issue pop up with her car. She was going to have to get some stuff repaired, and she was not planning on this and didn't know how she was going to pay for it, and she didn't know what to do. And we were talking about on our session different ways that she could bring in more opportunities for income. And we were exploring possibilities, but not from a fear-based place, not from a hurry, you need to find ways to pay for this, but just in general, okay, what are ways in which you can bring more money into your life? Right? Life is full of opportunities and possibilities. How could you take advantage of those? And so we explored that, but at the same time, she looked at her money, at her financial blueprint that we build in Empowered Abundance. And what she did was she accepted that she would have to put this payment on a credit card, which she totally didn't want to do because she's working on crushing her credit card debt. But she said, you know what? It's going to have to go on a credit card. But instead of in the past feeling scared and guilty and ashamed and feeling like, oh, I'm never going to pay off this debt. Here it is again. I'm just stuck in this cycle forever. I should just give up and accept that this is the way it's meant to be. Instead of feeling all of those things, she found and felt safety and grounded. And what she did was she built a plan for how she would pay it off. She felt confident in herself that she was going to keep going on her financial abundance journey, and that even if she had to put this on the card now, she would figure it out. She found safety in that scary financial situation. She accepted it. And she was confident that she was going to be okay and find a way through it. And then guess what happened? Like a day later, or maybe a few days later, a former client of hers came out of the blue and said that she wanted to pay up front for a large package. And this was shocking to my client because she was like, what? I don't even typically offer this. But this client came out of the blue and said, I just want to buy 3 months of sessions right up front. I'm going to pay for it up front right now. And she did. And guess what? My client used that money from that out of the blue sale to then pay the car repairs and did not have to put it on the card, right? She manifested that income opportunity because she stepped into her abundance, even in the midst of scary financial challenges. She learned how to find safety within that. She learned how to trust herself so deeply that even when she was faced with the challenge of putting yet another payment on a credit card, she knew she was going to be okay. She knew she was going to make it through it. She knew she was safe and that she was going to keep going and figure it out. And the universe responded to that. Her act of abundance brought in more opportunities of abundance, and it changed her result. Because these shifts that we make with our internal reality, our internal relationship with money, our emotions around money, when we shift those things, they have an external impact. They change the way that money flows in and out of our life. They change the way we live our lives. They change how we show up in our business. They show up in our ability to make money in our business when we feel safe within our money, when we feel safe within ourselves. That is the foundation to living an abundant life. And this is exactly why my Empowered Abundance program is so powerful, because it teaches you how to find this level of safety so that you can fully step into true abundance. And let me tell you, when you do, that transforms your life so that you can expand bigger than ever before. And right now, enrollment is open for the next group round of Empowered Abundance, but enrollment is closing next week. So if you are ready to take this next step, taking your relationship with money to the next level, getting out of fear, getting out of scarcity, learning to master your money so that you can step into your abundance and thrive, then book your consult. Now is the time, and spots are filling up. Are you ready to step into your next level of abundance? Are you ready to find safety? Are you ready to find self-trust? Are you ready to become an abundant alchemist? Do not sleep on this opportunity when you can start right now. Okay, thanks for listening to this episode of the Empowered and Abundant podcast. I will see you next week. If you're ready to take control of your money, break free from scarcity, and step fully into your next level of abundance, then my Empowered Abundance program is here to help you do exactly that. Inside, you'll learn how to transform your relationship with money, manage it with confidence, and use it as a tool to make your vision a reality. Head to thebizhippie.com/abundance to learn more and take the first step. And if you loved this episode, let's share this message with the world. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and pass it on to someone who needs to hear this. Until next time, here's to abundance.